Hey, it's Alex. I'm recording another personal video here. It's currently November 10th, 2019, early morning, 12:34 a.m. Past 3, 4 hours. Past 2, 3 hours. One moment where I kind of got moved upwards, more in a certain kind of like space, kind of feeling. Not space feeling, but like more related to um, certain kind of galactic, well, other dimensional, common room sort of stuff. Anyway, it's interesting. I felt certain kind of maneuvering, spirit trying to invoke a certain kind of authority presence on me. They put a certain kind of aspect of myself and others. I mean, spirit guides indicated on myself to sort of have like a certain kind of authority presence. Um, and that sort of thing where, again, they moved me upwards in dimensionally. Acceleration in the process happening to a certain degree. Acceleration sometimes, time in other dimensional is moving at a quick pace. Sometimes it's high impact, that sort of stuff, where I mention the subject and subject, potentially, certain discussions about it. But, well, I need to be able to I need to be able to say it. All right. So at times, in regards to when I'm talking about a certain subject, I've mentioned a subject and that subject to be impacted in a certain manner. There's natural ripple effect and things of that nature. There's only so much some can do because you look at the concept of specifically, concept purists and how some of them view it. When you take a look at, all of the peace that ever existed in a certain kind of bubble, and all that pertains to peace, that concept being impacted by way of me just mentioning it. That there's a natural thing in regards to some of that. So when I mention a subject, there is that sort of thing that potentially takes place. But when you take a look at the ripple effect pertaining to that mention, where in the past we'd see multiple ripples in regards to it, that being situated to a certain degree in a certain manner. But if it's not, we need to understand if it's not. That ripple effect is one of those things that we need to be able to talk about. We need to be able to speak about specifically in regards to this process because of some of the things that have happened in the past, some of the things we've talked about. And yeah, ripple effect wasn't necessarily the problem that I'm able to discern, but the problem I was able to discern is a moving upwards, and a certain kind, one of them trying to build a certain kind of line and say that somehow talking about the original creator and talking about heaven and specifically getting angry with the original creator is not what you want to do. Okay, understood to a certain extent. But when I say it every damn day, daily, that I'm speaking to a certain kind, and specifically in how I speak about it, isn't necessarily as much of a problematic as some are trying to label. And they're trying to label it in a certain fashion in a different way in which to say that somehow, for some of them, that's not acceptable in a certain manner. But you can't expect people not to be upset with certain kind in regards to certain circumstance, certain variables, what people experience. You can't expect people not to try and get upset over here. Do you feel better now? Is that, like say, yeah, a little bit. Anyway, um, yeah, it felt like they moved me upwards again. So that's basically been it. I think one of the tells was that they were taking a look at my personality past hour, where for 15 minutes I'd operate in a certain fashion. I'd feel another kind of infrastructure move, behavioral influences from spirit switch up. All of a sudden, I'm not as irritated. I'm something else. I and others from Inter Guides are out to give clarifications in regards to that moment that made spirit guides needed pertaining to the prompting that I did and the action that I did and the ways that made spirit guides needed, and that it pertains to what made spirit guides needed, the way made spirit guides needed. I did have a thought. I did think of a certain direction to go, but I go that way in the ways that made spirit guides indicated pertaining to letting my main spirit guides know in regards to how I'm feeling, but in how I am responding is what the main spirit guides indicated in the light. Basically that goes to them and they say, we could play this better to a certain extent. And then, I choose what I choose, and well, to a certain degree, and it only works as far as what main spirit guides indicate, I mean, this was the case. If I was to try and harm somebody, that's where main spirit guides would step in and say, no, that's not necessarily what you want to do. And of course, there is circumstances where that isn't the case, as per defense and other topics, etc. That's the way main spirit guides indicate in the light. So, yeah, I mean, what else? I mean, that's basically what that's. I mean, and it was one of those ones where it was like, whoa, like I can feel spotlight. A certain kind, though. It's not like it's not the classic fame, arts, entertainment kind of one. It's the other one. Well, it's another one. Yeah, it was authority, politics, that sort of thing, realism. One of the things they told yesterday, the day before, was this sort of realism thing. Maybe it had to do with authority. I don't know, because there is. You think about realism, you think there is a certain kind of authority in regards to it, and that's not to say there's not authority in regards to a certain story, in regards to other kinds of systems, because there is. And what's the utilization been in regards to so said what's me? I think it's a big topic to a certain degree, but one of the other topics is, I think, transportation was one of them too. I sort of thought of something and, kind of all of a sudden moving somewhere to a certain degree. Yeah, I'm looking for resources in regards to energy and transportation. I did some advocations on the way back here from going out into town, and into town, I basically let know what's been happening to me for the past 2 days. It was fairly interesting. The walk there, I talked about what's been happening the past couple of days, and then on the way back, I did certain my daily advocations. So I feel like that's fairly decent. When I was at, when I was in town, I specifically getting the coffee and trying to write some of the stuff. Trying to get my work done. I forgot my pencil within my pant pocket that I actually changed my pants, and that might be a good metaphor. I don't know. But it was one of those things where I left my pencil here, and I only had this one pencil that had a bit of lead on it, so I wasn't able to write as much as I wanted to. I'm sorry, I don't mean to upset. I tried going to another place to get a pencil, it didn't work, and that's what they said. That would be why. We're trying to let you know, and I didn't get to tell them. Anyway, yes, that might have something to do with it. I need to get a robe. There's no excuses. It's only khaki pants. Why do I have to be here? For freak's sake. But it was this moment again where when I was at, I went outside, and sort of a talking point in regards to certain things. I feel the way I do about it. I've talked about it. I think people know about it. So maybe the way I want to operate in regards to that sort of thing says I don't need to clarify certain things anymore to a certain degree for what's acceptable. Maybe operating that fashion in regards to how I feel. But it's venting. That is what it is. Because when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, is it really about him having to clarify again? No, it isn't. So it has to do about venting, that sort of thing. It says, okay, so I know who can change the circumstances ultimately, supremely, the real one, the one. You know what I'm talking about, all right? Because some people refer to him as the one, and that's the truth. And that had to do with an aspect of the original creator that holds a large amount of power, and still does in the ways that main spirit guides indicated in the original light. But one of those things where it's just like, I'm always tired of. I was tired of that. Like it was like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of a certain kind of interaction that you take a look at and say, the lack of presence for some, but and I know God works in mysterious ways. And, it's kind of unfair. He's like, yeah, I've been around. This is the case of this. Well, all right, but alrighty then. And it's one of those things where, like, the day previous, on the 8th, I would feel this kindred in regards to the original creator. I thank those that main spirit guides indicated greatly. That's the direction we want to go, at least in regards to relationship pertaining. I don't always want to cuss them out through this like that. That's not what I want to do. And I'm not cussing them out that bad. I'm just saying, like, why can't you save us? And there's been moments where I said stupid comments. 2 stupid comments, not good. No, and I'm not going to hear that last part there in regards to that. No, because I make mistakes. I vent. I get angry. I'm not the only one. People get upset. You don't know what kind of people, they go to the vent area and what they say. Why is that? Well, I'm in front of the scenes and we don't get the vent areas we need to be able to vent what we need to. We need a mobile, on the fly, place on somebody, take it away, sort of vent stuff, and not to be utilized in a certain fashion to cover up what needs to be sent, to use in a certain fashion that facilitates venting in a safe and decent manner, the way Spirit Guide's indicating the light. So, but considering if you don't have that, we do have that in the ways Spirit Guide's indicated. You know what? I don't know. Well, I don't know. There's some others out there who are not meaning. It's nowhere near so. It isn't. If we're to a certain degree, there's some other psychics out there that are fairly, similar to me on this physical planet Earth, then maybe. But other than that, some guy having an argument with one of his family members. It's like, excuse me, I'm having an argument here. Like, this is the case of this. Can we, like, for fuck's sake, have some privacy in regards to certain arguing, or like maybe like a back off. I don't know. For some. Anyway, and again, they start to facilitate this sort of thing. It says, try to maneuver him away from Earth-based. It's a better way. Yeah, whatever. That's how I feel about it. Some of it. This is the case of this. So on one hand, yeah, it's a decent, but on another hand, it's not. It's not at all. All right, fine. It looks to be not at all for some of it. And I call that out at times. I've called it out before. I'll call it out again. All right, fine. It should be, because if I'm stuck off in the middle of there's been a big one this past 3 days, and it's that sort of one that says in the homes, what is taking place? And it's like, why do we even need to, for some of them, they don't need to ask that question, but for others, they do. Guess what? There's dimensionals that exist overlapping that correspond with the physical, that like you have to open a door for them to be able to get through to a certain area. If the physical, if you're enclosed in a certain area, they're not gonna be able to get through to you specifically, in regards to some other dimensionals who'd have to spend thousands, hundreds of thousands of years chipping away at whatever the heck it was to be able to. It would even work. Would it work that way? Yes, it would. Okay, so maybe, maybe. No, not just maybe. There's ones that can. It's another dimensional stimuli that you wouldn't see in regards to certain things. Jesus, tell me it's not that one. If it's that one, then I'm laughing. Kind of. Maybe. Well, holy crap. Well, all right, then fine. I've seen that sort of one where I'd walk past a building and it looked like some god or something, just moved the walls down and the walls upwards to try and feng shui it again, or whatever the heck else it is. I've seen visions and flashes in regards to other dimensional stimuli pertaining to certain structure, where it just gets flipped around and just a bunch of different things happen to it, and I don't know. And that's sort of it. It's more like it floats or floats upwards, or the walls move outwards, that sort of thing. I don't know if they flip it, but I don't know. And yeah, a big one is this battle in regards to the homes. And some have been saying that's what they've been insinuating. I don't know if it is true or not. It might be a certain kind of story. I don't know about story, but a checkpoint. I don't know. There's ones like that where they bring up a certain kind of storyline, and it'd be a checkpoint or a lead-off point or a spawn area. This is the case of it. That's what's been at times. So you bring up a certain kind of memory in regards to a certain kind of storyline, and all of a sudden it's like that's where it is. That's the but there's something happening in regards to it. And it's a decent in regards to some of a large portion is it's being situated to a certain extent. So I think that's a decent to a certain degree. There is a large portion of innocent and decent on this physical planet Earth, and that's just what it is. You don't know why, because that's what you'd say. You would say this because that's what they're saying. They're saying that this is over. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I create certain videos in regards to lamenting. At one point, it was going to be like, oh, well, this is over. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Is that enough for it to be over? Really? You don't know why, because your behind-the-scenes guy feels that way. He feels upset. That's all. They're attacking. Well, that's how I feel about it. Look, this is what this is. All right, that's how I feel about it. That is how I want to respond, because I don't find that to be acceptable. I don't care if it's acceptable in your area, to a certain degree. Well, all right, then I don't want to be in your area anymore. I'm not supposed to be in your area in a certain manner. I'm supposed to be placed where Main Spirit Guides need the way Main Spirit Guides need. A big one earlier was that sort of thing where it was like, oh, wait a second. So is Earth and a large portion of the populace not supposed to be placed in certain kind of brimstone areas to a certain degree? Yeah, I think that, yeah, that's the case. I mean, most people are like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we're not supposed to be, we're supposed to be placed in the decent. A lot of us are in decent areas, right? All right, fine. You know why it is. But we want to make sure that's well, I don't know if we want to make sure that's the case. For some of them, I go with what Main Spirit, no, I go with what Main Spirit Guides indicated for all of them in the ways that Main Spirit Guides indicated. Okay, fine. What now? Because they're attacking you is what they said. They've said to have been attacking me at times. I don't want to hear that anymore. I'm tired of you saying that through the channel. I don't want you to say that through the channel anymore if possible. That's how I feel about it. All right, then fine. Because at times it's been that sort of thing where they say that they're attacking you and then they just say that they're to attack me. And, or to say that I've been attacked to try and get me to be attacked. And other kinds. All right, fine. But I also need to be realistic about it. I need to be able to talk about what's happening in my process. And I do talk about what's happening in my process. If you don't facilitate that, then there's going to be certain things that happen that's not going to be desirable. And I'm not going to take the shit and fall for it. No, thank you. All right, fine. What now? Why? Because they hurt you here. Well, that's how I feel about it. And then that would be why. That would be the case. This would be why. That's what it's supposed to be. And you don't know why. Look, can you display what Main Spirit Guides indicated? Excuse me. All right, fine. Yeah, you know what? Exactly. That was the case of this. You don't know why. That really is. So good. Good for you. Because that's what they're doing here. Look, I don't find this acceptable at all. And when you say that I'm getting attacked, and when I feel like I'm getting attacked, oh yeah, 2 hours ago, there was this thing that happened where my loving infrastructure, emotional infrastructure, and other kinds got attacked, and they left behind a certain kind somewhere. I don't know what. Maybe some were fine, but maybe it's one of those moments. Is it one of those? Just send them forth where Main Spirit Guides indicated. All right, fine. You don't know why. You don't know why. Oh, come on. That guy is. Is it? Am I supposed to trust some that Main Spirit Guides indicated? All right, then fine. All right, then fine. A couple times. But they tried to. Madam for Sue saying to be protected in the moment. Sammy just need the way she doesn't even. Let me get rid of this. Well, yeah. Anyway, you guys need to figure it out.